Have you ever wondered why your brain goes to negativity first whenever it is that a new idea is presented or you seem to want to go in a different direction? Hi, this is Jeff Downs. Welcome to the My Streaks podcast. It's been a little while, and we're going to get started with talking about what it is we can do to rewire the brain from negative to positive. So let's start streaking. What is streaking and why should you do it?
Streaking is how you set up personal winning streaks. Look at who you want to be and what you need to do to become that person. This is streaking.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Jamie.
And we are streakers. Through 30 years of marriage and 7 children, we have learned the power of consecutive consistency or streaking.
To start streaking is simple. You just follow these 3 laws. Make it laughably simple, keep a record, and join the streaking community.
Streaking is your hidden superpower. With it, you will consistently progress and grow in whatever area of life you want.
In this podcast, Jeff and I will share all the fun, exciting, serious, solemn, wonderful parts of family, spiritual, professional, and personal life, and how streaking powers it all.
So join us in the conversation, join the movement, and start streaking today. When we talk about negativity bias, which is what it is when the brain basically takes in any information and immediately goes to negative. When you think about, for example, the free pizza is never as good as it used to be. Or when you've got something that happens to you, immediately you go to, oh, this always happens to me. Why is it that I'm cursed? Or if someone presents a new idea or a suggestion, it seems that negativity is the first thing to come to mind. Where this came from is I have a streak, as you know, to review at least one development card every day. Some of the cards that I use to do this is the mindbrainemotion.com cards, and this one is out of the 52 Essential Coping Skills. This was the card that I pulled up today, Negativity Zap. Our brain pays more attention to negative than positive things. Now, the first question that I ask is why? What is it about our brains that we pay more attention to those than not? Well, there's a few reasons. First of all, it's developed out of the reptilian brain where we have a survival instinct. In our past, as you look at what it was that we had to do to survive before the modern age of whatever we have in regards to shelter and food and clothing, we're highly attuned to dangers that can and do exist and threats that increase or that decrease our chance of survival. So as you recognize and respond to negative stimuli, such as predators, poisonous plants, and so forth, quickly and effectively, you would be able to survive that. So that's why it's immediate skepticism. What is it that's happening here, and what is it that I need to do? Now, it could also be, as far as why our brain pays more attention, is because of the impact of negative events that have happened in life. If you think back to any of the areas of life where you've been negatively impacted, those seem to come right through. It's really interesting, don't you think, that those negative, impactful moments come through much more cleaner and clearer than what some of the positive ones are? In fact, it takes deliberate action and understanding to be able to go to the positive place. I've often thought about why it is that we have negative influences that permeate our brains and our hearts in such a profound way that we dwell on them and they prevent us from going forward in the future. I think it's one of the reasons why we have so many quotes on fail and fail fast and how many times can you fail, because it helps to negate what the negative bias has been in the past. In other words, reframing failure in this place of positive reinforcement. If I failed, that means that I'm trying. However, a lot of times that prevents us from trying because I failed in the past, which is an interesting one. We'll talk about that in just a second. In another aspect of this, we learned that cognitive load, negative information requires more cognitive processing to understand and respond to appropriately. This increased cognitive load makes negative stimuli more salient and memorable. Isn't that interesting? I have to process it. It's something that I look at and continually roll around or tumble around in my brain. It also appeals to and talks about our emotional response. Also, when working with others in the social situations, as far as what brings about this negative bias, it seems that everyone in a social situation is easier to go negative and complain than it is to stay positive and move forward or progress. All of these things play into our negative bias. Now, the question is, how do we rewire that negative bias into something that is positive? How do we move to this place where maybe the first reaction, and notice the word that I use there, reaction, is negative, but our response, which means that we are acting, not waiting to be acted upon, our response is one that is positive. We rewire. Continuing on with the developmental card. The first step to rewiring this negativity bias is to be aware of your and others' thoughts for what they are. Opinions. For each negative thought, find a positive response or a silver lining is the suggestion as far as the card is concerned. I look at what individuals share. So, for example, it's a rainy day outside. People say, oh, the weather's bad. That is an opinion. Because it could also be shared with, oh, the day is so hot. That's bad. That also is an opinion. Whatever it is we are looking at in life, it is mostly opinion, how I feel about it. Now, there are factual information. If it is 96 degrees, that is a fact. Now, that could be determined hot. But in some climates, it may be considered cooler. If your regular temperature is 120 degrees, or you live on the surface of Venus, that could be a cool. You see, either one is an opinion. The fact is, it's 96 degrees. That's the fact, or 92 degrees, or 80 degrees, or 40 degrees. Whatever it is, the fact is irrelevant to whether it's good or bad weather. That then is opinion. So the question is, as we look at any number of different things, how can I reframe negative bias to something that is positive? Well, here's a couple of suggestions. First is to every day be grateful for something. Whatever that gratefulness is. We've often talked about this, Jamie and I, in the past on any number of our podcasts, where we talk about a gratitude streak, where I find at least one thing to be grateful for every single day. That gratitude streak helps in rewiring the brain. And I want you to notice something, and something that we have talked about in the past and also see, is that the brain is rewired through consistent, consecutive activities that happen over a long period of time. That's what's happening when, or to rewire what we're doing is putting a streak in place, such as practicing gratitude, being thankful for whatever it is that's happening in that particular day. And that then helps to rewire what it is our response is to any number of stimuli. Because that's really what's happening, is it's stimuli of some sort or another. The question that I have for you is, how do you do this in a group? How in a group do you, when everyone else is negative, go ahead and be positive? Sometimes that's a little bit difficult because it can sound like you are, some perfect Polly trying to move forward and bring down everyone else for what it is that they're saying. Oh, and you're teased and made fun of when you're positive in the reaction of everyone being negative. I've noticed that I can be negative very quickly. To be positive requires energy and effort. What is something that you can do to be grateful every day, and that is set a streak? What's another thing that you can do to offset or to rewire these positive or these negative thoughts into positive ones? Another is to see exactly what it is you can do to Be positive about the situation. Oftentimes we talk about in streaking being deliberate and intentional. I'm consciously making a choice to do a certain behavior. When you move in that direction where everything is positive, and a lot of you may say, you can't be positive all the time. Why not? What does it hurt? How come? I think we can be positive, and we can be positive all the time. Is it difficult? Sure it is. My daughter, Rose, was talking with me, and it was a couple of days ago, and she said, and this was something of a revelation to me, that every feeling is preceded by a thought. At first, I disagreed with that. I'm like, sometimes I just have feelings. But then when I really started to think about it, and you really start to go into it, it truly is a thought preceding the feeling. I may not be conscious of the thought. And in fact, there's many times where I feel something and I have to go back and think, okay, what was it that impacted? Why did I start to feel that way? Why did I start to feel anxious or scared, positive or ecstatic? What was it that got me to that place? Because I noticed the feeling, but not necessarily the thought that got me to that feeling. Which is why we talk about being absolutely mindful of what it is you are thinking. So that leads me to the next thing. So we've talked about having a streak for gratitude, having a streak for affirmations, for positive affirmations. Third thing is have a streak for being mindful or meditating. Many times taking the moment to meditate. And when I say a moment, what I mean by that is focus on the activity of meditation, not on the amount of time that you're meditating. The activity of meditation is slowing your breath, being deliberate and thoughtful about what it is that you are considering. That, if you say, I'm going to meditate for at least 10 slow breaths every day, that activity then will help you to move into a more conscious and deliberate way of seeing things. Finally, if you reframe your negative thoughts, looking at them differently, putting them in a different perspective, that also can help you to move from a negative bias reaction to a positive bias response. It's always going to have to be something that you do mindfully. It's not something that you're going to just all of a sudden be able to wake up and do one day without ever thinking about it. For whatever reason, our natural tendency is toward the negative. However, with time and energy, you can develop the skill and the mindfulness to have the positive mental bias. Streaks and streaking are a way to rewire your brain, especially in this particular area. I've mentioned a few that you can have in your life to rewire. And why would you want to do that? Because it helps you to see life in a whole different light and to progress and to have more happy and intentional interactions with the world around you. Thanks for listening in today. This is Jeff Downs. This is the My Streaks podcast. Oftentimes, Jamie will join me and she and I will share together some of the different thoughts and ideas about life and how to navigate using streaks to power it all. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to me at Jeffery, Jeffery, at streaks, app.com. Also, feel free to download the My Streaks app. It's the place where you go to set your streaks, get experience points, and move forward in life, gamifying life in such a way that you are improving every single day. The Streaking book is also available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or anywhere books are sold. Again, if you have questions, feel free always to reach out to me. Until we talk again, keep streaking.
A better you.